Hello and welcome to this month's 30 Days of Goddess practice for November. I'm Molly Reamer with 30 Days of Goddess in Bridget's Grove, as well as with the Goddess Magic community on Patreon, which I do welcome you to join for even more fabulous resources, as well as support, nourishment, and encouragement and inspiration on your goddess-centered or your earth-centered path. So welcome to November. Our theme for this month is sovereign, and the goddess we are honoring is the Morrigan. So there'll be more about the Morrigan in the companion Goddess Magic practice video, or Goddess Guidance Club practice video that will come up soon. So anyway, this month we are exploring sovereignty and the word sovereign. And so before we go ahead and get started, let's go ahead and take a nice deep breath and really allow yourself to settle into your body, to call your spirit into this time and this place, to welcome yourself here, to return again and again. This practice really is about remembering, reclaiming, and returning over and over and over again. This light is, this is from my book, and it's making this light on my face, so I'm gonna go ahead and close that because that's really distracting me. But anyway, remembering, reclaiming, and returning again and again and again. So placing your hands against your heart and letting yourself soften and settle and sink in, and inviting yourself to remember, to reclaim, and to return. Here you are. So as always, the companion materials are available for you at 30daysofgoddess.com. Everybody, it's important to me that I keep this practice open and accessible, so everybody gets a snapshot set of cards and a printable set of resources. And then people who are members of the Goddess Magic community on Patreon also receive a guidebook, a monthly guidebook to print, a Goddess Guidance Club packet with the Goddess of the Month and a matching bookmark. And they get the little affirmation stickers, so to speak. You have to cut them out yourself, and so they're not exactly stickers, but they're like make your own stickers at home. And then they get the full set of 9 to 12 snapshot cards to guide the practice. But everybody gets things that will support, sustain, and nurture a practice without having to become a member. So you can totally access the starter materials and they will keep you going through the whole month. Or you can join us for even more in the Goddess Magic community. As I've said before, we do weekly community practices. We do a monthly live circle. There's so much, and it's so multi-leveled, as well as you get to interact with and build this real community with other people who are on a similar path. So anyway, here we go, settling into November, into this month of sovereignty, this month of the Morrigan. And so I'd like to open with a reading from our guidebook, and this is a good reminder to us as we cross the threshold into these final months of the year. We must be fierce with our edges and practical with our limits. We must prioritize with passion and intent. We must look at our lives with honesty, with purpose, and with trust. We must see through to the heart of things, remembering we are the sites of our own liberation, and we refuse to hurt ourselves anymore, nor abandon our own wholeness or override our own knowing. We must evaluate our lives with unflinching clarity, stare our own selves in the eyes, and answer this question: is this what you really want? May we dare to trust ourselves. May we dare to allow ease and tranquility to enter our days. May we dare to stand up for our own sacred work, to pour ourselves into it with wild dedication. We must listen, we must honor, we must choose. And so some questions to consider this month are, what does self-sovereignty mean to you? So one of the videos that I offered with Claiming Our Magic in October, actually, as far as scheduling goes, it might still be coming up. Oh, I've got a rainbow on my palm. Oh, I'm so easily distracted by different things. Look at the rainbow. Okay, so there's a special Claiming Your Magic video about sovereignty as well. And then we have a live Claiming Your Magic online retreat coming up on November 8th, which you are welcome to join. And you'll just need to be on the 30 Days of Goddess mailing list, 30daysofgoddess.com, join the mailing list, and you'll get an invitation to that Claiming Your Magic live. And there's a whole exploration of self-sovereignty there. But what does self-sovereignty mean to you? What does it mean to you? And sovereignty can be a complicated concept. I do wish to acknowledge that it can also have this colonialist kind of unpleasant, imperialist, overlay of being, taking over and being like, and taking things over and making it into your kingdom. And that's not how I'm using it. I'm using it in terms of, radical like self-responsibility and independence and liberation in the self. We are interdependent beings. We are interdependent right here on this earth. We are embedded in a web of interconnection and interdependence. Like we are here to be embedded in a web of relationship with other people, with other beings, with the planet itself, like our heartbeats and our breath, like matching up with the heartbeat and the breath of the earth. And so that I'm not talking about sovereignty as in like you don't need anybody else and you're just gonna march away and gonna take over and claim everything for yourself, but rather about that interior sensation of wholeness, power, and trust, deep, deep self-trust, and the sovereignty of knowing yourself, of claiming your own wisdom, of claiming your own magic, of claiming your own power, of trusting yourself, and being rooted deep in that sensation and knowledge of inner wholeness, not relying on other people to tell you how to think or what to do or how to be, but instead relying on that core of knowing within you. So that's what I think of when I think of self-sovereignty. I'd love to hear what you think of as self-sovereignty, but it really means kind of this radical self-responsibility and kind of claiming your own life, claiming your own magic, taking responsibility at claiming your own power, reclaiming your own wisdom, and just inhabiting your own fullness, your own power, and your own muchness, while still being in relationship with other people, with the planet, and with other beings. So what does self-sovereignty mean to you? Do you feel centered in yourself, in your own power? What would you choose if you were? So if those things don't make sense to you, if you think, well, I don't know if I trust myself, I don't know what it means to claim my own power, I don't know what it claims to claim my own magic, something that really helps is to imagine or behave as if. So let yourself imagine, if I was a person who was able to be self-sovereign, if I was a person who inhabited my own power, if I was a person who embodied my own magic, if I was a person who could name it and claim it and be it and live it, what might I do? As if. So ask yourself that as if kind of question. That can be a really powerful practice for exploring something that doesn't feel fully true to you, but that you're intrigued by. So you think, how might I respond if I was a person who trusted myself? Then what might I think, do, choose, etc. And that can be a really powerful invitation into growing into this, into living into this, into embodying your magic, practicing your promises, and living your prayers. If you allow yourself to imagine as if, like you would consider, like, what might be true? If this could be true, what might I do? So that's a possibility. Another thing to consider this month is, what's the difference between stretching into growth and becoming stretched thin? This is the perfect time of year to consider this question, because we can start to feel a little stretched thin. The new year beckons, the old year needs to be laid to rest. There's holidays, there's family needs, there's work needs, there's creative needs, there's new projects that are beckoning, there's old projects that need to be finished. It can be a kind of chaotic and splintering. That's why I love the call of cave time and honoring this retreat and descent into the cave and allowing ourselves the solace and the renewal of winter. But anyway, back to November, back to our questions to consider. And so some other questions to consider are, what do you sense arising for you rather than taking effort? Like, what is coming up that doesn't require forcing, that doesn't require making something happen, but that's arising naturally, that's in accordance with inspiration and with like the flow, as we talked about in September, that flow of ideas and energy and life. And how do the two feel differently in your body? Arising versus effort. When I say what's arising for you, how does that land for you compared to thinking about what's taking effort for you? And things in life, there's good things in life that require effort, but sometimes if we tap into what's arising, we find a whole new doorway opens for us than the things that are requiring forcing or effort. And another question to continue to consider is, are you listening to your longing? That's a really powerful way of claiming your own magic and stepping into sovereignty, is, are you listening to your longing? When you feel that longing that says, I wish I could, that is your teacher. That is your invitation. That is your doorway back home. And so Then another question is, what happens when you let yourself be expansive? I love that. Instead of feeling contracted and closed in by all the things that need to be finished and all the things that need to be started, what if we lean into the expansive? And what is the sweet song of your own approval? So I'm not sure if I'll actually have time to get to the poem about the sweet song of your own approval, but I've shared that before is one of the things I thought of. I think I shared this in last year's video and possibly before that, but something I said to my husband once is, I love to hear the sweet song of approval, like when somebody had given me a compliment. And then I thought, what's the sweet song of my own approval? That's part of sovereignty too, is what is the sweet song of your own approval? How does that feel? Can you hear it? And how does it land in your body? So, as I mentioned before about reclamation or remembering reclamation and return, one of the beautiful gifts of daily practice is that you're always invited to return. There's no behind, there's no perfect, there's no right way. There is no shame and there is no failure. There is only the invitation, freely offered again and again, to cross the threshold back into your own heart and to arrive back into the center of your own life. And that is what sovereignty is about, is arriving back into the center of your own life again and again and again. So I do want to share a poem from our guidebook about following the Morrigan. And this is based on a summer solstice ritual about or pushing 2 years ago, maybe just a year ago, and the Morrigan card from the Story Goddess Oracle kept blowing off the center of the altar when I was leading this ritual, and so I wrote this poem about it, following the Morrigan. Today, beneath the stormy sky, the crows returned, 3 of them, perched in the branches of a dead oak tree, beaks open slightly in the heat. They preen and sit looking out at the horizon until some blue jays come to disagree with them. They swoop off with brief shrieks of indignation, wings black shadows as they dive away between the trees. I think back to our ritual yesterday, the Morrigan card that kept insisting on flying off the altar and landing in the center of the circle. I have been called before, again and again. On this half-clouded day, I feel an understanding awaken and an invitation land before me, black eyes curious, black wings prepared to fly. Whether I choose to follow is up to me. Whether you choose to follow is up to you. And that really is that voice of listening to that voice of longing, that cry to return. Whether you choose to follow really is up to you. So pay special attention to the crows this month. What do they have to teach you? And the, let's see what else I have. I have a couple of quotes that I want to share. One is from Amber Tamblyn, which I think is perfect. Powerful women sometimes take Powerful women sometimes take decades to recognize that they are straight up sorcerers. So or sorceresses. So that really connects us to the magic theme from last month, but I also think it connects to sovereignty as well, recognizing that you're a straight up sorcerer. And then a quote from Patricia Monahan in her Seasons of the Witch book about the autumn woman. The autumn woman moves towards dream time. Though she knows her limits, she has also felt limitless. She has known the ineffable. She wakes at night from dreams of high, windy places where small blue flowers bloom, and she knows in her bones that such places exist. Luminous beings appear in her dreams and pull her towards them. She recognizes the dust of infinity in a windstorm, the fragrance of timelessness in a fire. And then from Nasaki Shang, where there is a woman, there is magic. If there is a moon falling from her mouth, she is a woman who knows her magic, who can share or not share her powers. A woman with a moon falling from her mouth, roses between her legs, and tiaras of Spanish moss. This woman is a consort of the spirits. And then another quote, this one from Starhawk in Dreaming the Dark. We begin by making new metaphors. Without negating the light, we reclaim the dark, the fertile earth where the hidden seed lies unfolding, the unseen power that rises within us, the dark of sacred human flesh, the depths of the ocean, the night, when our senses quicken. We reclaim all the lost parts of ourselves we have shoved down into the dark. Instead of enlightenment, we begin to speak of deepening, or I write sometimes of endarkenment. There's a secret in endarkenment to be found in endarkenment. So the Morrigan and November and December invite us into this deepening, into this dark, into this sinking in, into this digging down. into this claiming of our own wholeness, our own magic, our own sovereignty, our own power. So that is what I wanted to share with you today. And then I'm going to go ahead. I have several more poems I want to share. We're getting a little late in the time, but that's okay. We both know our limits and we are limitless. Both can be true at once. And so I want to share this poem that's called The Risk Takers, because I think that's part of what sovereignty invites us into as well as walking a non-traditional path, walking a goddess-centered path. Sometimes because I'm so immersed in it, I forget how radical and revolutionary it really is to stand up for this different way of being, to stand up for this different view of the earth, of our own power, of our spirituality, of our own rights. Like this, it gets a very radical and revolutionary viewpoint, and I'm so embedded within it and I embody it so much that I sometimes forget how radical and revolutionary it is when it's compared to mainstream culture. So here's the risk takers. This one's for you. There may always be those who conspire to destroy and deny, to restrict and restrain, to crush and to control. So too, there will always be those who dare and defy, who resist and rise, who create and care. There will be those who sing for peace and dance for dreams and howl for justice, those who piece broken shards of meaning back together, who mend tears and weave prayers, who stand up for what is possible and reach out hands to one another in peace. May protection enfold the risk takers and world changers. May hope be our fuel and our promise. May our joys be stubborn and determined. May our magic be unquenchable and ungovernable. We are sovereign, sacred, and strong. So that's actually a perfect note to close on. We are sovereign, sacred, and strong. And so I'm going to go ahead and close there with this invitation to remember, to reclaim, and to return, and to be a risk taker, as you walk this sacred path of reclamation, renewal, and return. Thank you so much for being here. Welcome to November. Feel free to check out 30daysofgoddess.com for all of your printables. Do note that I'm running a special membership offer on Patreon through November 4th. So you can use the discount code MAGIC2024 for a discount on a 1 month or an annual membership there. So please do come on over and join me for so much more magic that you will find over there on patreon.com/goddessmagic. And we're going to go ahead and close right now with our core affirmation for the month. I am sovereign, sacred, and strong. And this prayer. So inviting you to rest a hand against your heart and let this soak into you. This is from our snapshot. And oh my goodness, there are 5 crows flying by right this second. Wow. I am the sight, 6. I am the sight of my own liberation. I settle inward and listen. I cast my senses outward and notice. I soften into the expansive. I feel the beat of the sacred in my own heart, the pulse of the holy in my own body. I return to the roots, to my own depth of knowing, simple and sacred, sovereign and strong. Thank you so much for being here. Welcome to this month. Keep living your magic. Bye-bye.